Let's try this again. Let's try this again. Okay, hopefully that works. But anyway, again, excuse me, good evening, everybody. Thanks again for listening. I am your host, Nelson E. Brown, and this is the Beauty in Us Radio right here on Awesome God Radio. I apologize for those technical difficulties. I always try to make sure that the audio is working fine and that you guys can hear me, and so that, nothing is on mute and nothing sounds muffled. But like I was saying, excuse me, before I noticed that there wasn't any sound, this is the Beauty in Us Radio right here on Awesome God Radio. I air every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. And it's been so amazing this past month. I've had the privilege of just sitting down with you one-on-one to talk about Black history. And throughout the month of February, we have been discussing Black History Month. And it's not just, amongst the Black community, but it's also been, amongst everyone from all backgrounds and from all communities of all races, all ethnic origins and backgrounds, national origins and backgrounds. And I've had the privilege of talking about iconic figures. Now, I didn't have the time or the space to talk about each and every one, but a lot of what I've been sharing right here on this platform has been really, really beneficial for me. And I know that, through my work, I do my best to make sure that you all stay educated, stay informed, and that you all are, inspired no matter what. So I've had the privilege of doing that, on this platform for the past month now, with the exception of the first week, of course. But tonight we're going to have a conversation about comedy, the world of comedy. And we're going to talk about Black comedians, but more specifically, we are going to have a discussion about comedians and television personalities, an actor and actress. We're going to talk about Whoopi Goldberg and Martin Lawrence. And I picked those two because I think that they're iconic figures because of the work that they've done, not just as comedians, but just as entertainers in general. So I was able to do a little bit of research, even though I kind of grew up watching both of them in their films and in their television shows. And, and I've followed their work for a very long time now. But I was still able to pull up some research about them and the work that they've done, in the television industry as actors, as actresses, and even as comedians. So I'm going to read a little bit about, I'm going to first start with Whoopi Goldberg, and then I'm going to transition and I'm going to talk about Martin Lawrence. Now, with Martin Lawrence, with Whoopi Goldberg, now she actually, she's known professionally as Whoopi Goldberg, but her real name is Karen Elaine Johnson, and she was born on the 13th of November in 1955. And she's known professionally as Whoopi Goldberg. She's an American actress, comedian, author, and television personality, and she's received tons of accolades for her work in the television industry. She is one of 16 entertainers to have won an Emmy, Award, a Grammy Award, an Academy Award, and a Tony Award. And her breakthrough came in 1985 when she was cast as Celie in The Color Purple. If anybody knows The Color Purple, if anybody has watched that movie, it is a really, really inspirational movie. It's an adaptation of the book, the novel by a prominent author named Alice Walker. That is what The Color Purple is about. So the film was an adaptation of the book. And Whoopi Goldberg, who we're talking about tonight during our last week of Black History Month, Whoopi Goldberg was cast as Celie in The Color Purple. And that's where her breakthrough came. And that's how she hit the mainstream audience with her work as a theater actor. She started out in theater, and then she made the transition rapidly to film in that regard. So she played Celie. So Celie's character was a mistreated woman in the Deep South, and this was a production that was produced by Steven Spielberg. And she was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress, and she also won her first Golden Globe Award for her performance in the romantic fantasy Ghost. That was released in 1990. I'm not sure if you all remember either one of those movies, but if you haven't seen those movies, you have to go and see them. They're really, really great productions, really, really great actors and actresses. I mean, it's just an overall great movie. But again, her second film, and she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, and the second Golden Globe Award was in the film Ghost. And in 1992, she starred in the comedy Sister Act, and she earned herself a third Golden Globe Award nomination. And she reprised her role in Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, in 1993. And then by that point, she was the highest paid actress at the time. So, she started her career as a theater actor, like I said. She was born in New York City, and one of the things that really stuck out to me about her was that, there was a point in time where, she actually has a rags to riches story. And I've seen her in interviews, and I've read stories about, her life growing up, and just about all of what she's been through. And she's talked about, living, in New York City, struggling with dyslexia and all of the other related challenges, not just on a personal level, but on a professional level. What also sticks out to me about her is that she was able to kind of set the stage for generations of African Americans in comedy and in film and in television productions. She kind of paved the way. I look at her as paving the way for other African Americans, men and women, in the television industry and for other Black comedians. And also for Black women who wanted to inspire to be actresses. I think that she set this tone for a lot of people. And she has also starred in a few other movies where she's won Tony Award, other Academy Awards, a Grammy Award, other Emmy Awards, and so many other accolades. But as a theater performer and as a producer, she performed, like I said, in Broadway productions. And she has had, one-woman shows, one of which, produced a comedy album, and that earned her a Grammy Award. And she starred in several other movies throughout the 90s and throughout the early 2000s. And since 2007, if you don't watch it, as controversial as it is, she has co-hosted and moderated the daytime talk show, The View, and she's won a Daytime Emmy Award for that as well. And she's also hosted several Academy Award ceremonies. Now, she was born in Manhattan, in New York, and her parents, one was a teacher and one was a nurse, and she was raised in the projects of Detroit. No, excuse me, not Detroit. What am I doing? I don't know why that came across my mind. New York City. She grew up in New York City, the housing projects of New York City. And starring in one-woman shows and in productions is how she started her career as an actress. So she actually thought that she would always be on Broadway. and during the time that she did start her career, as an actress, there weren't really a lot of opportunities for people of color to star in movies and in television. If we look at TV, from the 40s, 50s, and even the 60s, there weren't really a lot of people of color on television. There weren't really a lot of people who represented, starring roles or main characters in different productions, whether it be television, film, or anything of that nature or in that regard. So she, by her being on Broadway and by her gaining exposure in that light, really set the stage. And like I said, creating a comedy album, a one-woman show, is how she was able to hit the mainstream audience. And even starring in The Color Purple as Celia in 1985, representing Alice Walker's work in the best way that she could, really represented how committed she was to being a, mainstream and A-list actress. So it's really, really inspirational, because I feel like this ties into the work that, not just myself, not just what I do, but also the work that we all do in some regard in order to gain the exposure that we want in our careers, and also to advance in different stages of our careers. She was able to sacrifice a lot, and she was able to pave the way for Black women in television and in films, and also for Black comedians. So I just generated a list of a lot of Black comedians that have set the stage for a lot of the comedians nowadays, and through different generations. A lot of them appeared during different eras of TV and in films and on all forms of productions. So I've generated a list of Black comedians, and comedians that were very influential in the African American community. So number one is Richard Pryor. Number two is Eddie Murphy. Number three is Dave Chappelle. Number four is Bernie Mac. Number five is Chris Rock. Number six is Martin Lawrence. But there are many, many more. So, I mean, the list goes on and on. But like I said, in this regard, we, Red Fox, who played Fred Sanford on Sanford and Son, another well-known comedian. And like I said, there are many more comedians out there. And I often thought about what it meant to actually be a comedian, because I think that it's more than just about making people laugh. I know that nowadays we have Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish, and so many other stars who are setting the stage. Leslie, what's her name? Leslie Jones, right? I knew her last name was Jones. Leslie Jones, all of these stars who are paving the way for African American comedians nowadays. But again, we had the Richard Pryors, the Red Foxes. We also have Cat Williams, Eddie Griffin, but we also have some more, and so many others that appeared, through different eras. And I think that, when we talk about comedy, and when we talk about, what it means to entertain people, I think that it's more than just about making people laugh. I think that you have to be really, really intelligent to have a sense of humor and to have that gift, because everybody doesn't have the ability to make everybody laugh. Because again, I think that there's a difference between being silly and actually having a sense of humor. But again, with Whoopi Goldberg's case, as we talk about her life, her legacy, and her career, we talk about the films that she starred in. So she has done Sister Act, The Color Purple, Ghost, A Long Walk Home, and For Colored Girls, and so many other productions that it's again she's paved the way for other African American females in that regard. So I just want to ask you guys, what do you think it takes to make people laugh? Because I know that being a comedian is not an easy task. It's not an easy job. I think that people have to understand your sense of humor. And again, I think that that's an art, being able to make people laugh, having the ability to entertain people, from every background and from every race or every religion, every culture. I think that you have to have a gift and you have to be really, really intelligent in order to do that and in order to cultivate that. And again, some of the things that we talk about here on the Beauty in Us radio, we talk about, the arts in terms of just being an author or what it means to be an artist, to paint, to sculpt, to draw. I mean, all of these forms of art, communication, just being a radio personality or a television personality is a gift in itself, because everyone does not have the ability to maintain a platform because to talk about subjects that matter from not just from their point of view, but from the perspective of others. So I think that it's really, really imperative for us to understand and to celebrate the life and legacy of Whoopi Goldberg, and even, her position on The View. She's been on The View for about 14 years now, since 2007, and she's been pretty steady with her work as an actress. But, The View, if you guys have never watched it, you have to watch it. It's funny. But The View, as controversial as it may come across, it's definitely a platform where women from all backgrounds can talk about subjects that matter. They don't just talk about politics. They also talk about, family values and, just culture, pop culture, music, and other forms of entertainment. And again, just having that perspective, understanding, the voice of the Black woman from the perspective of Whoopi Goldberg, is definitely, I think, the reason why a lot of people do like to tune in. Even though it may be controversial, and even though people may not like the approach that, she gives to the platform, you still have to respect the fact that, I feel as though you still have to respect the fact that somebody's paved the way for their community in every, regard. So it's just really, really iconic, because again, not everyone has the opportunity to do what they love and to make tons of money while doing it, and also just having a heart for it. Pouring out your heart and soul into something that you really love is something that nobody can ever take away from you. Your hard work and your perseverance. She was able to establish this career, in a very prejudiced world, and even though we still live in that world, it was much more, direct and upfront, during her days, during that era. So I think that, again, being able to persevere through all of the struggles, as an actress, from Broadway to TV to even like her position now on The View, I think that it's really, really important for us to just respect that, because I know that everybody does not have the opportunity to have a long-lasting career in this entertainment business, because it's very cutthroat and it can be very, very cruel sometimes. And I was even speaking with my mom, earlier today, about how a little girl dressed up as Whoopi Goldberg for Black History Month. And if you haven't seen the video, you have to watch the video of this little girl. It's really, really adorable. But she dresses up as Whoopi Goldberg for Black History Month, and she nails her impression, like spot on. Even though she's only like 5 years old, she still tries her best to, portray her with a raspy voice, and even with the outfit that she wore. I mean, it was really, really cute and adorable. But it shows you how inspirational you are, and sometimes we don't really understand how influential we are until someone else really points it out to us, or really shows us how we've inspired them in some way or another. So I think that that's really, really, important. So if you get a chance, watch the video of this little girl. It's really, really adorable. But she says, "I am Whoopi Goldberg." The little girl's name was, Rosie, and she says this in a raspy voice. She's trying to, mimic, the entertainer Whoopi Goldberg. She says, "I'm a comedian, actress, author, and TV personality. I am one of 16 entertainers to win an Emmy, Grammy, Academy, and Tony Award." So, she says all of this in a raspy voice, but it's much more it's much more entertaining when you just watch the film yourself. This is a little girl out of Detroit, Michigan, who dressed up like her for Black History Month. So, again, when we talk about being a comedian, when we talk about the entertainment industry, we also have to understand that, it's not just a place where we just make all of our money, keep it to ourselves, and to just have a me-focused mindset. Whoopi Goldberg is also very, very active, in other arenas as well. So she has been a very, very strong supporter of, the LGBTQ community. She's also walked in the Women's March, and she's very, very active in the women's movement. She has a very, very progressive mindset when it comes to advocating for human rights and just being a role model, for different summits, for social networks, and just acting as a motivational speaker to, other young women that look like her, and just other young people. And again, the Women's March, the LGBTQ community, the March on Washington. She's been, just an advocate, for so many things. And she's been using her platform to bring awareness to issues that matter. And I think that when you're a comedian, or when you're in the entertainment industry in general, I think that it's really, really important for you to use your platform in order to help someone else. And it's not just about you, just having a me-focused mindset. Like I said, it's also about you making an impact and making a difference in your community, because you can accomplish things in your life and still not make an impact. You can make all of the money in the world. You can have $1 million in the bank. You can have $1 billion in the bank, but it does not mean that you're making an impact like you probably should or would with the platform that you have and with the passions that you cultivate every single day. And I think that's why it's really, really important for us to realize that. And she's also written several children's books. Whoopi's Big Book of Manners, that was published in 2006. Sugar Plum Ballerinas, #1, Plum Fantastic. Sugar Plum Ballerinas 2, Toe Shoe Trouble. That was in 2009 and 2008. And in 2010, Sugar Plum Ballerinas #3, Perfectly Prima. And then later on in October 2010, Sugar Plum Ballerinas #4, Terrible Terrell. These are all of the children's books that she's written. Sugar Plum Ballerinas #5, Catastrophe, as she wrote it. That was in March of 2011. And Sugar Plum Ballerinas #6, Dancing Divas, which was published in October of 2012. And then she's also written several nonfiction books. Whoopi's Big Book of Relationships, If Someone Says You Complete Me, Run. That was published, in 2015, in October of 2015. In 2010, in October of 2010, she wrote, Is It Just Me, or Is It Nuts Out There? Another title of her book, one of her books. And Whoopi Goldberg in 1992 and in 1997, she wrote Alice and Book. So, she's done so many things. And again, she's using her platform and her position as a comedian in order to entertain a younger audience from another point of view and from another standpoint. So this is someone who has experienced so many struggles, not just, as an actress or as a comedian, but also, throughout school. I was watching an episode of Oprah's Masterclass with Whoopi Goldberg, and she talked about how she struggled, in the school systems growing up, because she has dyslexia, and because of her learning disability, it made it really, really difficult for her to, keep up in a way, if you will. So it was just a weight. It was a huge weight on her, and she didn't think that she had the ability to learn the same way that other kids learned. By her having dyslexia and her learning disability, She felt like she wasn't able to accomplish what she wanted to accomplish at the time, but what mattered more was that she continued to work hard, and that she continued to sacrifice, and that she continued to persevere through all of the obstacles. So I think that, again, with all of her talents, being the jack of many trades, she's acted in over 150 films, and she's won 4 major American awards: Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. So she's only one of very few people to do that, and she's the only Black woman to achieve all 4 awards. And she received, like I said, 2 nominations for The Color Purple and for Ghost, and she is the first African American actress to receive an Academy Award nominations for both Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. She received 3 Golden Globe nominations, and she won 2, for The Color Purple and for Ghost. But she has also won many other awards. The BAFTA Award, for instance, and in her role as the Best Supporting Actress in 1991. And she's been a recipient of the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding One-Person Show in 1985 for her solo performance on Broadway. She has won 3 People's Choice Awards. She has been nominated for 5 American Comedy Awards with 2 wins. And in 2001, she became the first African American female to receive the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. And in 1990, she was officially named an honorary member of the Harlem Globetrotters exhibition basketball team by the members. And in 1999, she received the Vanguard Award for her continued work, for the LGBTQ community, as well as the Women in Film Christian Award for outstanding women who, through their endurance and the excellence of their work, have helped expand the role of women within the entertainment industry. So she's also an advocate, for the women's rights movement and the women's movement, and to just make sure that women have a voice throughout the entertainment industry. So in 2010, in July of 2010, and throughout the rest of the years, even up until now, she's been named as a Disney legend for her contributions to the Walt Disney Company, and she received that honor and that recognition in 2017. So she's just done so much, and she's accomplished so much. And in a couple minutes, I'm going to make a transition into our next iconic figure of the evening that we're going to discuss. But I just want to, share with you guys that, it's not just about, making money or achieving fame or just having status or having certain titles. But again, being an entertainer, she used her status as an entertainer to help others. And she was herself in the process. She said in her interview with Oprah's Masterclass that, she never wanted to be glamorous. She was always herself. And by her being herself, of course, everyone is not very fond of it, but she has been able to embrace who she is. And she's accepted herself for who she is instead of who people want her to be in their eyes, which is a level of self-respect that she has, and some self-confidence too. So it's definitely eye-opening. It's been eye-opening for me. She's inspired me after reading more about her and after watching her work, growing up watching her, looking at The View, as controversial as it is. I tune in just to see her, to be honest. I don't really watch it unless she's a part of it, because that's how inspirational she is to me. Through all of my research and with all of the films that I've watched and the television shows that I've watched, where I've seen her act in different roles, and to just study the characters from head to toe, it's definitely amazing. But I'm going to make a transition into our next topic, but I want to encourage you guys to share your thoughts about this subject. What do you think it means to be a comedian? When you think about comedy or the world of comedy, what comes to mind? So when you look at comedians, when you're entertained by comedians or someone who makes you laugh, a public figure that has a platform or who has scripts or skits or one-man shows or one-woman shows, what is it about them that makes you laugh? When you think about comedian, the word comedian, or when a person is a comedian, what makes you think that they're funny? What comes to your mind? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a comedian or someone in that world? So I just wanted you guys to take a minute as we make this transition into the next subject, as we discuss Martin Lawrence as an iconic figure for Black History Month during our last week, right here on the Beauty in Us radio, right here on Awesome God Radio. This was my very first show to celebrate Black History Month, and I'm so excited. I'm going into the 5th month of being on this platform and on this broadcast with Awesome God Radio, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I encourage you again to leave your thoughts below in the comment section below after the broadcast is over, and even while the broadcast is still airing, to just think about the subject and to just think about what it means to be a comedian and what you think it means to have someone to make you laugh, someone who entertains you. Now, excuse me. So now when we talk about Martin Lawrence, we also talk about another comedian. But in addition to being a comedian, he's also an actor and producer. He's a talk show host, writer, and he came to fame during the 1990s. And he established himself as his Hollywood career as a leading actor. Now, he was again, if you guys do not know the show that I'm about to talk about, you guys are in the clouds and living under a rock. But he was a leading actor in the Fox television sitcom Martin. He was also he had a prominent role in the Bad Boys broadcast, in that film franchise. So in the 1990s, he hit the scene, and he produced and starred in his own television show Martin, and it aired from 1992 to 1997. So it aired for 5 seasons, and he was actually what actually shocked me when I first read a little bit more about his background was that he was born in West Germany, which was something that I never even thought of, something that never crossed my mind. But he was a leading actor in the television sitcom Martin, and he was also the producer and the main character. From 1992 to 1997, he was a part of the Bad Boys franchise, the Big Mama's House franchise, A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, Boomerang, Nothing to Lose, Blue Streak, House Party, and so many other films. Do the Right Thing, Life, Black Knight, National Security, Open Season, College Road Trip, Death at a Funeral, and so many more films. He's been the executive producer of TV One sitcom Love That Girl. He's been on Def Comedy Jam. He was on What's Happening Now, and so many other bits and pieces of films and of productions that I probably can't even think of right now. But this kind of ties into our discussion about Whoopi Goldberg in terms of what we think a comedian is, or how we think a comedian should be, or what kind of thoughts we generate when we think about comedians, or when we think about people who entertain us in this industry. And again, a form of art. Being a comedian, I look at it as being a form of art, and I encourage everyone to look at comedy, being a television personality, being a comedian is a form of art, because you have to, again, have that sense of humor in order to make people laugh. You have to have the ability to catch people's attention. And you have to have that creative mind set in place so that you can continue to keep your audience engaged, and into everything that you talk about. I think that, again, when we talk about Martin Lawrence and we look at all of the work that he's done, even with all of the characters that he's created, everybody knows Shanae Mae from Martin. If you can't, if you know Martin Lawrence, you have to watch the show. If you know Martin Lawrence and you haven't watched the show, you just need to watch the show. Big fan of the show. But I mean, to revert back to what I was talking about, you have to have that creative mind when you want to entertain people, or when you want to be a comedian in this world of comedy. You have to have a sense of humor. You have to be creative. And by him not only acting in different roles and studying the characters of others, he's actually had the opportunity, even with his own sitcom, to create his own characters. Everybody knows Shanae. Everybody knows Otis, old Otis. Everybody knows Jerome. Everybody knows Roscoe, the little boy with the snotty nose and the baseball cap. Everybody knows these characters if you know Martin. But again, that creative mind is something that everybody does not have. That's a talent that should be used to your advantage when you want to make it in the industry. And I'm sure that a lot of these entertainers, whether they're comedians, whether they're actors and actresses, or television personalities, they've had to persevere through many obstacles. I just shared with you in the first half of the show that, Whoopi Goldberg talked about, the struggles that she's had to face just for, being a Black woman in the industry, when she first started in the world of theater production. And even with Martin Lawrence, coming into the world in the 90s with his own style, with his own characters, with his own ideas, and with his own mindset, and just being really, really set on what he wanted to accomplish, speaks volume. And many of his productions have won awards. The Blockbuster Entertainment Award for the movie Life in the year 2000 with Eddie Murphy, another comedian that I'll probably talk about next year. Maybe not. I'll see. But again, the Blockbuster Entertainment Award for Big Mama's House and for the movie Life, that he was the actor and producer in and of. The NAACP Image Award for the Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series in 1995 and 1996 for the series Martin, his series Martin, that he acted and was the executive producer of. And he was nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series for 1997 for the same series, his series. And he also was nominated for Favorite Television Actor for his series Martin for the Kids' Choice Award in 1985 and 1996. And he was also nominated for Favorite Movie Actor in 2001 for the movie Big Mama's House. And the Bad Boys franchise, the MTV Movie Award, is what he was also nominated for in addition to Big Mama's House in that franchise. The Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, that franchise he was a part of with another actor, Will Smith. He received recognition for that as well. In 2005, he won a comedy award from BET. The Icon Award is what he won. And again, the list goes on and on and on. But again, when we think about this world of entertainment, when we think about gifts and talents, we have to think about our comedians as well. Because again, everybody does not have the ability to laugh. Anybody can act silly, but everybody does not have the ability to laugh, to make others laugh. That's a gift. Having the ability to sustain a career for decades at a time, and just having the ability to, reinvent yourself in terms of, what you do and how you do it in order to captivate the attention of audiences from different backgrounds and different generations is what, makes you relevant and what makes you stay relevant. So again, when we think about the arts, when we think about the entertainment industry, and when we think about, this world of comedy, when we think about not just Whoopi Goldberg or Martin Lawrence, when we also think about Dave Chappelle, Leslie Jones, Tiffany Haddish, Richard Pryor, Eddie Griffin, Cat Williams, some more. All of these people who've appeared through different eras of comedy and for different generations that they've inspired, just think about, I encourage you all to think about the ways that you can, think about the ways in which, we can celebrate our comedians and appreciate our comedians. Because again, making people laugh, sustaining a career where you can just make people laugh and entertain them, and having the ability to sustain a career as such is something that is admirable. Because again, anybody can act silly, but it doesn't mean that everyone, has the ability to laugh and to, make an impact in that regard. And, and even though, comedians, they sometimes stick their feet in their mouths, when they may make a joke that may not come across the best way, they always find a way to turn it around and, clean it up. But it's really, really imperative for us to, again, celebrate our comedians, our actors and actresses in these industries, because I don't think people realize how tough it is in order to sustain a career as such. I've read the number of health problems that Martin Lawrence has suffered from, and even recently with Whoopi Goldberg, where she's suffered from sepsis in March of 2019, and even had to take a leave of absence from The View because of that. So the health-related issues that they've had, she was battling pneumonia and sepsis, according to what I'm reading, and she had to take a leave of absence from The View, and he suffers from a number of other health-related issues as well. But again, it all still, boils down to us just appreciating our comedians, celebrating our comedians, loving our comedians, and just, keeping that in mind when we watch their shows, or when we support their work, when we buy their comedy albums, when we watch their shows, when we watch their movies, we have to embrace that and celebrate that for what it is. There was a point in time where people of color, and more specifically Black people, men and women, were not on television, and who were not in productions, in theater, or in movies. So there was a point in time where people who didn't look like us, well, like me, there were people that didn't look like us that weren't a part of broadcasts in the 50s and in the 60s, and even in some way or another in the 70s. We didn't start doing that until the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. So we just think about this cultural shift that's about to happen. Even within the new decade, this is still a fresh decade. We're in 2021, but we're still in the beginning of the 2020s decade. Just think about all of the comedians that have not been born yet. Think about all of the people who are still ready to make an impact, with their gifts and with the entertainment that they want to bring to the table. Just staying open to that and just keeping that in mind, I think, is what, will put all of us in the better place emotionally. And I called this specific broadcast The Beauty in Laughter, because I think that laughter is what makes everyone feel better. It definitely cures, well, I wouldn't say cures, but I think that it helps, the soul. I mean, I feel like you're a lot better when you're much more happier. I feel like your soul is a lot more at peace, when you're able to laugh, and when you're able to just enjoy someone or something, that, comes your way. So again, this broadcast, for instance, of The Beauty in Us Radio, we have very transparent conversations about sensitive subjects, but we also we can also laugh and joke about things. It doesn't always have to be serious, but again, just having a platform where you can entertain people, not only make money doing it, but you can also make an impact and make a difference in someone else's life through the work that you do. And again, you never know who's watching, and you never know who is paying attention to you, and you never know when that opportunity may come where someone may want you to speak at their engagement, or speak at their celebration, or speak at their school, or speak at their assembly, or in their break room at their workplace. So you never know who's watching and who's paying attention to you. That's why it's imperative for you to continue to do what you're passionate about. And it's also imperative for you to continue to cultivate your passions and to just build your dreams and to follow them, regardless of, what obstacles may come your way or the obstacles that may be in your way as you pursue these dreams. And again, there was a point in time where people of color were not on television and were not a part of broadcasts. And now, you see a large majority of us in films and in TV. And we see so many comedians now who are entering into this world of comedy and then into the entertainment industry with a new look and a new style and a fresh perspective on many of the subjects that they may speak about, and in a comical manner. But again, it's really, really important for all of us to understand how many sacrifices these people have to make in order to sustain their careers, because we just look at it, we pay for it, and then we're done. We may pay for it, we may see them, we may listen to their albums, we may watch their shows, we may do all of that, and then we're done. We don't think anything else about it because we just watch their shows. We pay them, for watching their shows and their work, and we just think that it's over and done with. But just all of the money, all of the time, and all of the energy that is spent in order to perfect their craft, to write their scripts, to produce their movies, their TV shows, their platforms where they act as hosts or producers of. It's a lot of work, and we just pay for it, we watch it, and then we're done. But it's much more that goes into it than just that. So I encourage you all to think about that, even when this broadcast is over. Now, I'm going to end on a little short note right now, because I know it's still a little early in the broadcast. It's 6:47, and we have until 7 p.m., but I want to give you guys a lineup of our guests for the month of March. So as we end this discussion about the world of comedy and, Black comedians, and the discussion about the lives and legacies of Martin Lawrence and Whoopi Goldberg. I appreciate you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys for staying on this entire time. I wanted to I wanted to spend some time to talk about the next 12 minutes talking about what's coming up in the month of March. So in the month of March, I have a whole lineup of guests. So next Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m., I'm going to have Miss Nija Howard with me, and she runs a nonprofit organization. I'll probably post more about it on Friday. I'll see what I can do. I have to get in touch with her sometime this week. But again, she's going to be on my show. She is set to be on my show next Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. to talk about the work that she does as an author, as a philanthropist, and as a mental health coach and advocate of Black moms raising Black sons alone. So that's the work that she does. So she's going to be on my show to talk about that more in depth. In her magazine, her work as a philanthropist, and like I said, as a mental health coach and advocate. And she's making an impact in so many ways. I can't even share it all now. But she's going to be on my show next week to talk about that. I have Miss Anne Arundel Councilwoman Lisa Rodvine the following week. I have a few makeup artists, a few business owners, and a life coach, and just so many amazing women that are lined up for the month of March, because next month we celebrate Women's Month. So all of my guests each week are going to be the ladies. So I encourage you all to listen in. I took my time out last year preparing for these lineups with these broadcasts, and I did my research. I made some phone calls. I worked my connections, and I was able to find a great group of ladies who I'm really excited about. I would really, really love it for you all to tune in for the month of March every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. to sit down and to listen to these ladies, talk about their journeys from different avenues and how they've been able to cultivate their passions in order to make, a successful career, not just to make money out of it, but also to make an impact, for others. So I'm really, really excited to speak to these ladies. I hope that you guys have enjoyed, the discussions that we've had throughout the month of February for Black History Month. I'm really, really glad that you guys have been able to tune in every week from 6 to 7 p.m. because, running a broadcast and being the host of your own show is not an easy task for everybody. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single week. I see my new listeners. I see my old listeners. I see familiar faces. I see new faces. And I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for still just coming and taking time out of your schedule to listen to me and to just listen to what I have to share with you guys. And again, I encourage you all to do the same for the month of March because I did my research, thorough research. Like I said, I worked my connections and I spoke to some of these ladies, and I think that you guys will definitely feel informed and inspired by their stories and about the work that they do from different avenues and from all backgrounds. Because my show, right here on the BeautyNS Radio, it's very inclusive. So, I welcome anybody on the show who is willing to talk about the work that they do, why they do what they do, and how authentic and powerful it is. So I'm very open about that. So again, I encourage you all to listen in. Those were a couple of my announcements for, now, so that I wouldn't forget. But I thank you all for tuning in. Again, like I said, make an appointment to meet me back here next week on Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. It's going to be March the 2nd. So March 2nd, Tuesday, March 2nd from 6 to 7 p.m. Make an appointment to meet me back here. So we have 5 weeks. So we have 5 weeks of great content in store. So I encourage you all, like I said, to listen in, to just listen to these ladies, hear their stories. These are going to be really great, really great discussions that we're going to have, on this broadcast. And I'm still taking a huge hit this month because of the passing of my dad, and the unexpected passing of my dad from last month. It's been exactly a month today since he's passed away, and I've been taking a lot of time out to try to recuperate. I'm still very, very very sad about that. And I've been really, really depressed lately with everything that I have going on. But I'm still trying to stay prayerful and to hang in there. It hasn't been easy. And I'm not going to sit here and act like, it doesn't bother me, because a lot of things do. But I continue to pray, and I continue to just take some time out, for myself to just kind of step away from everything. Because it can be a bit much to try to juggle everything at once, between being a sociology student and running a show, being an author, trying to take care of my personal business and my personal life, with my relationships with others, and just trying to maintain everything. It's been really, really hectic, and I've been really, really depressed lately. So I'm being very open and honest about that. But I want to let you guys know that I'm in good hands. My therapist and I, she's my therapist. She's definitely on my side, and she's helped me in every way. So I have a huge support system with me that helps me along the process. But again, I want to encourage you all to just tune in next week from 6 to 7 p.m. So that we can all sit down and speak with Miss Nija Howard to talk about the work that she does in order to help single Black moms raise single Black sons. So thank you all for tuning in. And like I said, I'm in good hands. It's been really, really stressful. I've been really, really depressed lately, but with my therapist and with all of the resources and tools at my disposal, I encourage you all to just continue to send your prayers, your love, your encouragement. I see your comments. I see everything that you guys write. Even though I don't respond, I just want you to know that I do see them. I do read them. and I do appreciate them. So I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you next Tuesday.